Hello again and welcome to the Final Flight podcast channel. My name is James Woods and I'm here once again with another episode of the Jumpers to Follow for the upcoming season. We're on episode 5 now, which is pretty cool. Hopefully you've all enjoyed the episodes so far and have managed to fill those trackers up nicely. I know there'll be plenty of nice horses being spoken about over the next few weeks as we build up to the Chepstow weekend. And there's obviously some good, Irish jumps racing that weekend as well. So fingers crossed that we can kick off the season in good style. Just a quick one, obviously. There is my book, my guidebook of Jumpers to Follow, still available for a small donation to the Hull for Heroes Veterans Charity. Now, I'll be donating that pot of money to them the weekend of Chepstow, the big season opener. We're nearly at £300. That's fantastic. So thank you again to everybody who's donated to that pot and taken a copy of that. So thank you again. And hopefully we'll get some winners out of it as well. So again, just a quick overview of what I do is I go through I do sort of 4 novice hurdlers to look for and watch the coming season. And then I do a couple of novice chasers and then a couple of point-to-point recruits at the end. And then obviously as the last couple of episodes before the season kicks off, I'm going to look into more the graded racing, just go through a few nice horses that I'm looking forward to watching and seeing how they get on. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go straight into it. My first couple of novice hurdlers, and the first one I'm going to speak about is a horse called Johnny Who for JP McManus and John Joe Neal's got this one, and it's another really exciting horse that I'm looking forward to. His point-to-point form's great. He battered Hermes Allen by a good 19 lengths. That was back in 2001. It was bought quite cheaply, but it was closely related to 4 winners and with sort of staying attributes. It looks like a stayer going forward for me. I think he's going to be a Upton trip later on. I have put the Ballymore / Albert Bartlett there as a bit of a Cheltenham target, but if you go off his bumper, now it was a heavy ground bumper at Taunton that he won, and he won it easy as you like on the bridle. He actually had a horse I've mentioned earlier on in the series back his second for Nichols Pentire Head. I quite like that one, the attitude of that one. So if you didn't see that one early on in the series, make sure you keep a track of that one. But Johnny Who he absolutely mullered them all on that heavy ground. He just cruised over it. Won on the bridle pretty much, didn't really have to move too much. But I just think he's an exciting type. Obviously, we want to see what he can do off the bridle, want to see how he can do over hurdles and see how he gets on. Obviously, he had a little bit of a break in between his point-to-point run and his bumper debut. So hopefully, if there were any issues, then fingers crossed, they've been sort of dealt with and he can crack on now and reach that sort of high potential that I feel like he may well do. I've gone a little bit mad on JP horses in this episode. There's 3 altogether, or I think there's 3. I'll be reminded later on as we get through. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the JP colours, the green and gold. So fingers crossed we can get a few nice ones from them. Right, that's it for the first one. The second one is going to be a Rich Ritchie horse. Now, there's a couple of Rich Ritchie horses I could have gone for. There was obviously there's a well-touted Mr. Policeman who everyone's sort of thinking about for the Arkle 2-mile chasing, novice chasing. But I've gone with this one, Dr. Eggman, for Willie Mullins, and I quite like this one as a novice hurdler this season. I've sort of been back through his form, and you know, he ran in a bumper back in April in 22, and it wasn't too bad. The likes of Lecky Watson was in there, who's obviously turned out to be a good horse. And it was in behind them. So in terms of a debut, it wasn't too bad. And then it returned April this year, just gone. So obviously there's been a decent break before that. So fingers crossed he's not going to have too many more issues after that. But it was in third, and the first and second was Irish Panther and a horse called Walkaway Harry, who's obviously quite a nice looking type. And again, I thought it was quite a good run. He raced quite keen. He was giving weight away as well, so I marked that run up. And then again, his second run, which he won, was on ground. I would have thought it was a little bit too quick for him, but he still managed to get up. There's a horse called Intense Approach for John McConnell. I quite like that horse, and that's also probably going to be mentioned later on. But I would say that one would have definitely suited the good ground a little bit better. And it wouldn't exactly suited Dr. Eggman. So the fact that he's come on there and won that as well, I think just shows there is a decent horse in there. And obviously, William Mullins, we know he can improve these bumper horses a stone plus most of the time when it comes to novice hurdles. So fingers crossed Dr. Eggman can do the same. I've obviously put the Supreme Ballymore in there. I would think he'd be a little bit more of a 2-mile 4-horse person. I'd probably step him up in trip. I'm not too sure he's got the gears to match the likes of those in the Supreme, but I do think it could possibly have a little bit of stamina in there. So fingers crossed if he takes to the hurdles. I think it could probably be a decent sort of intermediate trip novice hurdler. Love it. Right then, so the next one. I'm using my notes a little bit tonight because I'm full of cold, so I've just had to prep it quite quickly. But the next one's a horse called Sergio. Now, this is a nice looking horse. I really like this one for Nicky Henderson in the Donnelly colours. It's obviously come over from France now. Now, there's a race over in France called the Prix Wild Monarch. It's a listed hurdle, and a lot of people will be keeping an eye on this race because the likes of Gaelic Warrior, Stateman have run in that race in previous years, and obviously we know how well they've gone on to be. Stateman obviously going to take on Constitution Hill, who we now know stays hurdling, as well as Imperial Pass, which for me was a little bit of a shock. I obviously had him down as a novice chaser in I think it was the last episode actually, but obviously he's going to stay over hurdles and have a crack at the best horse we've ever seen potentially. But yeah, this race over in France does seem to throw out a couple of nice types, and Sergio seems to be the one that everyone's sort of jumping on, but I quite like this one. Who won the race, and to be fair, the second what was it called? Sorry, Salvatore Mundai comes second. I think that one's going to go well as well. I think that one's gone to William Muns, but I'd have to double check that. But like I say, the Sergio won the race and won it quite well. And I just thought, it does throw out a nice type every now and then, that race. So it'd be interesting to see how, obviously, the Donnellys have spent some decent money again. And it'd be interesting to see how Sergio goes. I do believe he'll be in the juvenile thing. So it could be either a triumph hurdle or it could sneak up in one of the handicaps, depending on similar to how Gaelic Warrior did, where he nearly won. I think it was the Boodles, if I remember correctly, even though I've no idea how he got beat off that mark in that race. But he somehow managed to do so. But obviously, we don't know whether he's going to go chasing or hurdles just yet. It's going to be a big decision for Willie Mullins to make on Gaelic Warrior. It could be a Brown Advisory type, or does he mop up the stayers? Looks quite a weak division so far at the moment, does the old stayers. But yeah, we shall see. Flying through this tonight, love it. So the next one, my last novice hurdler for this evening, is going to be Down Memory Lane, another JP McManus horse. Now, this horse is obviously by walking the park. It was a 75k purchase brought back in 2001. He's going to go to Gordon Elliott, and we didn't see him from his point to point until October 22, which obviously a decent whack of time in between. So fingers crossed again, another one that we hope hasn't got too many issues, but can put them all behind him. But his point to point was we didn't see him after the sale till October 22. His point to point was a really nice performance. He won that by sort of 9-10 lengths, easy as you like, really. Then you fast forward to February 23, and that's when we get the first glimpse of him in a bumper, so in a 2-mile bumper at Fairy House. And it was a short price favourite, obviously, for the powerful connections, and he just travelled strongly. He joined the leaders, and he just sort of powered away and kicked away and won quite well. Now, he beat a horse in second called Mr. Pink for Willie Mullins. Now, I think he's quite a good little yardstick. He went and won next time out, so that form's kind of been boosted a little bit, but I think Down Memory Lane looks pretty exceptionally talented animal. And I'm looking forward to seeing him probably again, another one. I don't think he'll be a Supreme horse. I do think he'll be a Ballymore. I mean, JP has got some firepower this season, hasn't he? I mean, you're talking A Dream to Share, Mirrors West, Down Memory Lane. The list is just endless. He's got so much good, talented horses this season. He could have an extremely big, very, very successful season, and I'm really excited to see how these all get on, because he's going to have a lot of firepower, definitely a lot of firepower. Fingers crossed he can go well. But Down Memory Lane is another one that I quite like, and I'm sure plenty will be watching him as he progresses throughout his career. Yeah, hopefully there's a good one. And I'm now going to move on to my last JP horse. I'm going to move on to the novice chasers now. I know I might be going a little bit quicker tonight, but we'll fire through these. My next one is Iroko. This one's from the Greenall and Guerrero yard. A yard that I quite like. They've got some really nice horses for this coming season, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Iroko gets on now. I like about this horse is how he's come through the handicap ranks and had a good dance at the top table, and he's obviously done really well now. He sort of struggled in his juvenile races over in France, but when he come over to UK, it's a bit of a different prospect, and he's come up through the handicaps, winning 2 handicaps quite easily to kick off his season before heading into the Martin Pipe at Cheltenham off a mark of 138, and he's absolutely bolted up, and I thought it was a great run for Morocco. He's beaten some really nice types in there, and I really thought it was a really taking performance, and I'm hoping it can improve and kick on from that and reach a good sort of top level, maybe not the top level, but sort of decent graded horse. Fingers crossed. Now, obviously, he went to, and that was his first crack at 2 mile 4 as well. So obviously, it looks like he does stay really well. Because if you watch the race back, sort of coming down the hill, he did look a little bit outpaced. So you'd think maybe a step up in trip would probably suit as well. So obviously, I've put in there the Brown Advisory. So I'm thinking, I mean, it wouldn't be a Ryan. Well, obviously not going to be a Turner's. I wouldn't have thought. I would have said step him up to the Brown Advisory personally. Novice chasing. It was third when he went to Aintree, but it's still a good run. Not many horses managed to back it up. Cheltenham, win at Cheltenham and win at Aintree. Sometimes you can sort of maybe put a complete line through the Aintree race, especially if there's any horses that have skipped Cheltenham and then won, beating a Cheltenham winner at Aintree, if that makes any sort of sense to you. You can sort of put a line through it, but I do think if you do, he still run well, he come third. And like I say, he's only a 5-year-old, so he's got plenty of improvement to come. I do think they'll go potentially chasing him. They might keep him over hurdles. We shall see. Once we get the final decision, we can sort of map out the sort of career path that we think he's going to go, whether it's hurdles and graded hurdles or handicap hurdles, or if he goes novice chasing. I do think he will go novice chasing because I do think he looks like a big built chasing type. So I'm fingers crossed he does go that way and I managed to get another one right. We shall see, even though I got Imperial Pass completely wrong. But yeah, we shall see where he goes. That's Iroko. I'm looking forward to him. Now, the next one is a horse who I'm very, very excited about, and it's a horse called Nick Rocket. Now, I know a few people have already mentioned this horse. I always had him in my book, so it's nice to see that a few people have latched onto him as well. And I think this lad could really be top class now. He's definitely a Brown Advisory type. He looks like an out-and-out stayer. He looks like he's built for chasing. He's bow walking the park, and I just think he might go under the radar a little bit. But he come with a pretty big reputation from his point-to-point wins that he managed to put through. And even though he only managed fourth on his bumper debut, it was quite a hot little bumper. He had the likes of Stella Story in there, who I've mentioned before, who obviously looks like another good stayer. Dr. Bravo was in there. So it was not the easiest of races to be pitched into a first time out. And I do think you're going to have a lot of winners come out of that race. He did win his second start quite comfortably, and he made the switch over to hurdles quite quickly. So that would obviously make you think that he's going to then go in chasing this season. But he stepped up on trip on both his hurdle starts, winning each time. It was 2 mile 3 and then 2 mile 5. He stepped up. But the second run was massively improved, and I just thought it was a really good performance. I just think he'll relish fences and he'll relish a trip. I think get him up to the 3 mile trip, get him over fences, it'll bring a hell of a lot of improvement out of him. And I do think it could be a little bit of an under the radar one for the Brown Advisory. Now, obviously, William Mullins does have Gaelic Warrior in there, who, for me, if he goes chasing, would be a worthy favourite for the Brown Advisory. I'm not saying he's going to go and win because we'll see how the season goes. But if you're talking sort of 25 to 1, I mean, it's not an anti-post show. We're going to have one of them, by the way, so I'll talk about that a little bit more at the end. But I think Nick Rocket could be one of them that just bubbles under the radar, probably win a couple of early novice chases, sort of contracting price a little bit. But I do think he's going to be one of them to maybe latch on to early and watch how it progresses. But yeah, I'm really excited for Nick Rocket, and I think William Mullins has got one nice. And with him not being with like a massive owner or anything like that, he might just sort of tick over under the radar. We love saying that, don't we? Right, love it. So my last novice chaser is going to be one that I cannot pronounce, but I've put it in because I like the look of it, and it's for Paul Nicholls. And it's a horse called Iroko Delevate is what I'm going with. I don't think that's too bad. And Nicholls has got this one in the same colours as Stay Away Fair. And I think this one's going to be a nice looking chaser to follow. And I think if you watch, Nicholls is good at winning those sort of early season beginner novice chases and things like that. I mean, hopefully we'll get a couple of nice little wins on him at some semi-okay prices. Might be a favourite type thing, but it might not be too bad. So we shall see. But, he showed some decent form. He won his first time out after his wind up. He won his maiden at Taunton. And then he was only second. It was only his second run for... he was second the run after. That's right. It was second on his run after behind Ollie Murphy's nice horse Chasing Fire, who I did like, even though he sort of bombed up at Cheltenham. But I liked his form going into the Cheltenham Festival last year. And I do think Chasing Fire will probably do well progressing into next season. But I thought if you go back and sort of watch the race, I thought he did quite well to finish where he did. It still ran a touchscreen, so I sort of marked that up a little bit. I don't think he's sort of seen to the best effect going left-handed. I think that be maybe a more stick to the right-handed tracks. It might not necessarily be a Cheltenham Festival type, but it could be kept to the sort of right-handed tracks. And he sort of showed that when he was up in class against a horse that I really do like for this coming season, Springwell Bay. I can't remember if I've mentioned that already, or I will be mentioning him definitely. He ran well behind him. Ascot did the one I'm talking about now. He was pulled up at Newby, but a completely draw line through that. And then he returned to Taunton, back up in trip, and he dominated the race. And he just looks like the type who could improve for defence. So I'm really looking forward to how he can get on. I think he is quite versatile in sort of trip and ground. I wouldn't sort of label him down on the sort of, I've put the Arkle Turners there. I'm not sure he's like an out-and-out stayer for the Brown Advisory style, but I think those sort of 2 to 2 mile for small field beginner chases where he could potentially dominate from the front type of thing, I think he could go really well in those sort of races. So fingers crossed, Nichols has got himself a nice one. He can manage him really well and bring him along slowly and then pick up a few nice races. And if he does win those races, he can always have a crack at the graded races later on down the line in the novice division. Fantastic. Right, so I know I'm going a little bit quicker tonight, but we're just going to keep firing through. We don't want to bore you too much about my voice. I think I sound a bit weird this time for some reason. But I'm going to go on to my point-to-point recruits. I've got 2 more that I've managed to find looking through the sales. And the first one is going to be for Nicky Henderson now. I've been speaking to a couple of people who've said they really like this horse, and it's called Break My Soul. And it's a filly who's went for 290k back in 23. And I'm liking the look of this horse. I really am. I think she was a point to point. She was thrown in with the geldings, and it doesn't often happen. Apparently that's what I've been told. So the fact that she's gone in against the boys shows what they sort of think about her. And she's gone to show how talented she is. She's put in an incredibly good round of jumping. And was always staying on strongly to win, and sort of beat the geldings quite well. So obviously that's got to be marked up. And she's already shown a level of ability that we'd like to think that she can progress and be a really good, strong horse for the future. So fingers crossed she can do that. Obviously, like I say, she's not many fillies get chucked in with the boys in the point-to-point sphere. So if she can take that and progress and improve probably a bumper season, we'll see how she gets on. So fingers crossed, Break My Soul can do really well. Fantastic. The second one and the last horse for this episode is a horse called Jersey de Brosse, or de Bros, however you want to pronounce that. And it's a 4-year-old who's gone to Gordon Elliott and went for a hell of a lot of money, £370,000. It's a horse out of no risk at all. And he was actually second in his point-to-point, but he just looked classy. It's one of them where when you sort of look back at the race and you think, yeah, the second's probably the better horse, but maybe just the track and the way the race was run just sort of caught him unawares. It was always coming back to the winner. As the closer they got to line, the closer he was getting back. Him and the winner pulled miles clear of the third, and I just think, maybe just got beaten by a slightly sharper horse on the day type of thing, but this is definitely one to take from the race. Obviously, Gordon Elliott thought so and bought him for a hell of a lot of money. It'd be interesting to see what they do with this horse, whether they bring him along slowly, go over bumpers, or if they go straight over hurdles. We'll soon find out. But if they do go over bumpers, it'd definitely be of interest. I do think it looks like a really nice type, really big, assertive horse, and I'm looking forward to see how he gets on. And like I say, it's a very, very exciting future. To get those two in the trackers, it might be a bumper season, but we shall see. They might go straight over hurdles, but it's one of them where we'll just see where they end up. And if we have to keep in the tracker for when they finally turn up, then that's the way we've got to do it. Lovely, right? So thank you for that. I've obviously gone through them a little bit quicker tonight. I'm a little bit strapped for time, but we'll get that out there, and hopefully you've enjoyed that. We've got 3 more episodes to go as we lead up to the jump season opening weekend. We're going to have loads of good racing at Chepstow. There's some Irish racing as well, so we're looking forward to that, and just looking forward to the jumps in general. And that's what it's all about. That's what I'm all about. I love the jumps, and obviously we're hoping to have a good, profitable season, as well as just talking about loads of horses, talking about the races, going through it all, previews, reviews, a lot. We've got we're going to have a weekly preview of the weekend racing to come. On the channel, we're also going to have a Cheltenham Anti-Post show every week, where me and the lads are going to sort of build our Cheltenham team, putting some horses up at some decent prices, hopefully, and see who can do the best when that comes around. I've also got my Patreon group that I've started up that's going quite well. managed to start with some decent winners. So if you want to join that, it's only a £5, so make sure you follow that on my Twitter, which is obviously there, and make sure obviously you subscribe to the channel as well. We're over 150 subscribers, so that's fantastic. So thank you again for everyone who's subscribed, and hopefully we can have a really good season. On the Patreon group, I do put my daily selections on there, big weekend blogs, big meeting blogs, that sort of thing. I had some extra tracker horses in there that maybe aren't some of the big names and the sort of the unknown trainers and things like that. So fingers crossed that I'll keep them rolling. I do 3 every week, every Tuesday. So make sure you get in that group. It's only a £5 a month. It's cheap as chips. We're already in profit for the daily selection, so it's all going well so far. So thank you for the support. It's the last time I'll tell you to join. I won't even tell you to join. I'll just say you can support me if you want, making the content. But yeah, thank you very much, and we will see you next week for episode 6. Thank you for listening, and like and subscribe. Cheers. Bye-bye.